Tonight we're talking about the book I'm Thinking of Ending Things. This book came out in 2016. The author is Ian Reid. It's been adapted into a Netflix movie that I haven't watched yet, so I'm very late to all of this. I'm going to get into spoilers. I'll probably be a little less detailed than I am with movie spoilers. I'd also say if you haven't read this book and you're watching the video anyway, it's still worth reading, still worth checking it out. Find it on an audiobook. It's a pretty quick one as far as that goes. I'm planning on reading it again soon. I think it's one where I probably passed up on a lot of the details just because I didn't think it was going to get as weird as it did. Like a lot of the smaller details weren't going to be as important as they ended up being once you get to the end of the book. And I kind of went into this thing thinking that it was going to be a pretty straightforward story overall, but it's not really the case. I just read the book a couple of weeks ago and thought it was pretty good overall. I thought there were some slightly confusing parts, but by the end of it, it all makes sense, I think. There were some really vague moments throughout where in between chapters, there's some police officers checking out a crime scene and talking about what they're looking at, but not really using any great descriptive words. So it keeps you wondering where this is all leading to. And I'm going to get into a little bit of spoilers and stuff like that, just kind of skim over the plot and what happens in the book right now. So the story's about a couple. We know that the boyfriend's name is Jake, and I didn't even realize this throughout the entire book, but we never actually learn what his girlfriend's name is, and she narrates the book the whole time, so it kind of makes sense, I guess, that she wouldn't say her name, but yeah, I don't know. That kind of blew me away that at the end of it, when I started doing some research about this book and at least like checking the Wikipedia, that it says you don't actually hear her name throughout the story, and I was like, damn, I guess not. I guess I couldn't tell you what her name is because it's not in the book. In the first part of the book, she explains how their relationship started, her feelings towards Jake, and how she's kind of thinking about breaking it off with him. She's really on the fence about it throughout the entire book, though. So she's back and forth. Are we going to break up? She's kind of leaning more towards yes, we're going to break up. But every once in a while, something will happen where she's like, you know what? Maybe we should take this a little further. They have a trip planned together where she's going to meet Jake's parents for the first time. When they get there and they meet his parents, all this shit is weird. Everything in the house is weird. The parents are weird. The mom is just acting all crazy right away at dinner. The dad is weird and has all these has like a bandage on his forehead. Then he has multiple bandages on his forehead. And Jake also starts acting kind of weird. He's like a scientist, so he's kind of like an intellectual type, but at the dinner he just gets really quiet and almost seems off-put by the way his parents are acting, or maybe even the way his girlfriend's acting. You're just not really sure. But anyway, whenever she gets the chance, she starts to snoop around the house and just keeps finding more and more weird shit. She sees a picture on the wall of like a little kid, and the kid looks just like her as a little kid, but when she asks Jake, like, who's that? Jake says, no, that's actually me when I was a little kid. And she's just kind of like, okay, motherfucker, it looks just like me, though, when I was a little kid. Anyway, she sees a picture of a girl in his room that looks a lot like her, and then she finds out that he has a brother that no one's ever talked about or told her about, and apparently has some kind of like mysterious past or something that nobody wants to reveal, and they just he's like the hidden, I can't remember if he's the little brother or older brother. Either way, he's like the hidden twin brother to Jake, maybe. After some debate, the couple ends up leaving his parents late at night to head back home. There's a snowstorm going on, and the girlfriend is kind of feeling unsure about just everything that went on there that night, the relationship overall, whether or not Jake or his family might be kind of dangerous. Something I haven't mentioned is that early on, the girlfriend kind of tells us about this incident that happened when she was a little kid, where a stranger was looking in at her through her window. I can't remember for sure, but he might have even went into her room at the foot of her bed, and she just kind of remembers him as like a shadow man. Anyway, I was starting to think that maybe that was Jake's dad because of the picture of her as a kid on the wall and the way Jake starts acting once they get around his parents. But it's actually not the case. I was just guessing at anything at this point in the book. The two stop at a Dairy Queen on the way home to get some lemonade ices or something because Jake's lactose intolerant. The girlfriend recognizes one of the girls working there, but can't really figure out why. She's kind of like, why do these people look so familiar? The girl that's taking their order seems nervous or scared or something, and she almost tries to warn the girlfriend about something, but it's kind of hard to tell what it is. It's all very vague and almost feels like really surreal once you get to the parents' house and on. So they eat their DQ, and Jake's like, yeah, I need to throw this fucking trash away ASAP, and I know the perfect place to throw this trash away, an abandoned school building nearby or something. So instead of just hanging on to it and throwing it away whenever they get to a gas station or back home, he's like, let's drive off course through the snowstorm to an abandoned school building, my girlfriend that I'm clearly scaring the shit out of. They pull up to the building. He gets out of the car and is acting freaky as fuck right away. He disappears behind the school, and she's in the car, and she's just like, yo, what? Is this motherfucker about to kill me or something? He comes back, they start making out, and then he whips out her jugs and is immediately like, God damn it, the janitor just saw your jugs. And she's kind of like, what are you talking about? What janitor? And he's like, the guy watching us from one of the windows in the school. And she's like, oh, okay, well, I guess it's not a big deal because we're not really supposed to be here anyway with my jugs out. But Jake turns into a wild animal, and he's just like, no, he must pay for this bullshit. So he runs inside the school to, I honestly don't know what his plan is. I guess he's going to beat up the janitor or something. I couldn't figure out, why is he so pissed about this? But she follows after him, can't find him anywhere. She sees a lot of weird shit in the school, and I'm not going to get into all the details of the weird shit that goes on in the school scene because it's a lot. I think she sees the janitor guy crawling across the floor at some point, and all the doors are locked, and it's just she's going nuts in there, and she thinks she's being stalked. Anyway, by the end of this, she remembers that Jake's mom gave her a folded up painting before they left because there's all these weird fucking paintings in the basement. She's like, me and Jake love painting weird shit in the basement. Here's one, but don't open it yet. You'll know when to open it. So she's like, I guess now's the time to open up the painting. She does, and it's a picture of her, but it's also a picture of Jake. And then she realizes that her and Jake are the same person. So she starts talking in a dude's voice, and we find out what's really going on in this fucking book. Jake is actually a janitor at the school, and he kills himself. So the police officers that we keep hearing from that are talking about this crime scene, at first you kind of assume it's a murder. And I was thinking somebody's probably going to murder the girlfriend, whether it's Jake or his parents, or maybe she ends up murdering them out of self-defense, or maybe she actually ends up being the crazy one. You never know. It could be a big twist like that. But the twist is that it's actually Jake just did a suicide on his own self. And this is the main part. This is the main part of why I wanted to make this video in the first place. From what I understood, the whole story that we're reading is a work of fiction that Jake wrote in his notebook or his journals or whatever you want to call them. So what we're reading is what the police officer is reading, and there are hundreds of these journals. So you can kind of assume that there are hundreds more stories like this, basically fantasies that Jake has come up with based off of small interactions he's had with people, and then stretched them out into these kind of what-if scenarios. He says he actually did see this girlfriend character at a bar on trivia night, but they never really exchanged numbers, never bumped into each other again after that, and obviously never dated, because that's how their relationship starts off at the beginning of the book. So that's how I understood the whole thing, the whole story, the whole book. I didn't think this was one that was really up for interpretation, honestly. By the time I got done with that, I thought, even though it was weird and had a lot of surreal moments throughout it, the ending pretty well wrapped it up in a straightforward manner. If you listen to my episode on The Prowler that came out earlier, I mentioned that I was talking to a guy on Instagram about the book a little bit, and he was saying he didn't remember like any of the police officer dialogue in between chapters, and maybe he meant he didn't remember any of the journal stuff either. It was kind of confusing. Like, I didn't really get what he was talking about, because the way he described it was that all of this was just Jake's memory, or him like misremembering his life, or kind of like his life flashing before his eyes before he dies kind of thing, you know what I'm saying? But he's like reworking his memory to how he wishes his life went. Either way, obviously it's a pretty sad story. But I don't know, maybe this book is a little more confusing or ambiguous than I thought. I think I'm going to probably give it another read at some point. I think it's only like a 5-hour audiobook, so pretty easy to go back and get through it again. I didn't even mention earlier about the weird phone calls that the girlfriend gets. I'm not going to get into that either. I think check out the book. I'll probably end up watching the movie as well at some point. Maybe we'll do a whole review on the movie for I'm thinking of ending things as well, and maybe then I can do like a book to movie comparison. Who knows? I probably won't actually do any of that. Anyway, that is where I'm going to end things. Let me know what you thought of the book and or movie. I'll probably check it out at some point, like I said. Probably not. No, I'm just kidding. I'll probably check it out. Watch my other videos, movie reviews. I have a Patreon out there with some great stuff. Thanks.